All right, so this is Cassie. I'm sitting down with Betsy again. Today we're going to be talking about some Jenna Fisher inspired PR news and then a little bit of Sarah Huckabee Sanders as well. So I will start with the Stanley Cup. So that was just last night. I am not going to attempt to talk about sports because I don't know how. However, on Twitter, Jenna Fisher and John Krasinski from The Office, everybody knows Jim and Pam, had a Twitter feud about the Stanley Cup games. So that was really interesting. And that's just the type of PR that I like the best, is when it's not even really, it's very much so earned media, just because of the topic itself. And then when you get two influential people like Jenna Fisher and John Krasinski involved,
Me too.
you don't even have to do anything. It just blows up on its own.
I like when people have fun with it and they don't really get, brutal.
Right,
It's all done in jest and fun, and that's what's great about it.
Yeah. So I have a lot of family and friends who are really into hockey. I'm not that into it, so it's not that I was following along. But once I started to see their tweets back and forth between Jenna and John, then I really wanted to get involved and see what was going on. So I'll kind of break it down for anybody that doesn't know. So Jenna Fisher is a St. Louis Blues fan. She's from St. Louis, naturally. And then John Krasinski is a Boston Bruins fan. I can't remember where he's from, somewhere around there. And so they were tweeting back and forth, and there was a lot of Office puns and references being dropped. So that got a lot of traction on Twitter and those type of platforms. So anybody who's a big Office fan obviously knows Stanley as well. So Stanley is a character on The Office, and then we have the Stanley Cup. So Jenna Fisher tweeted, "Uh-oh, John Krasinski, looks like Pam might be going home with Stanley, who would have guessed," referring to the Stanley Cup in their hockey rival. So that got 47,000 likes and 4,000 retweets. Everybody loves Jenna Fisher in general.
Yeah, they do.
And then, John Krasinski had some, firebacks wow, this is how you want to play this? Okay, game on. So there was a little feud happening. And then she did an interview with NHL on NBC. And she kind of told the story about how her and John Krasinski have had this feud going on for a while. So back in the days of filming The Office, she said she obviously was a St. Louis Cardinals fan, and he was a Boston Red Sox fan for baseball. And during the World Series, the Red Sox swept the Cardinals in Game 4. So she said that her and Phyllis would sit in her trailer and listen to or watch the game cheering for the Cardinals. And then John and then BJ Novak and Steve Carell would be in his trailer cheering for the Red Sox. And so she talks about how she lost that one. So this one's hers, and she's coming for it. Or it's her turn, is what she said. So then he, fired back and said, "So should I invite someone else to Game 7? And so it was just kind of very fun. We talked about not any actual hostility, but just a lot of people getting involved. And then I believe he took the actor who played Roy. So Roy, who she was supposed to marry.
I love The Office.
In the game, or in the show. So I keep wanting to call them by their office names. John took David, the man that plays Roy, to Game 7. And Jenna said, "Just be careful he doesn't leave you at the game," referring to in the show when Roy left Pam at the game. So just a lot of fun with that. And I just liked seeing that. But another cool thing that Jenna Fisher is doing is she kind of got involved in the World's Best Cat Litter campaign. And my favorite thing about this is that their hashtag is give a crap. So it kind of gets your attention and you want to know what it's about. So the campaign itself, I'll tell you a little bit about the World's Best Cat Litter organization first. So they started in 2010, and they have been huge supporters of animal shelters and cat adoption. They have a history of donating their cat litter to, various shelters across the country. Very charitable organization. They partner with a lot of people to kind of for the best interest of cats. So their campaign right now, the hashtag give a crap, is you're just supposed to take a photo with your cat with the hashtag give a crap, and then they'll donate up to 1 million pounds of cat litter to shelters.
Wow.
That is a lot of cat litter.
That's great.
And their cat litter is kind of unique. It's corn litter, so it's naturally absorbent, and it's made out of corn. So that's interesting. I don't know a lot about cat litter in general, but I feel like that's pretty unique.
Yeah, it is.
And then she posted a photo on her Twitter to do this campaign. And it's pretty, of course, Jenna Fisher being Jenna Fisher. She had a really good time with it. And she posted actually 2 photos. And one of them is a picture of her and her cat with the bag of cat litter. And the next photo is her cat jumping out of her arms. She looks like she's screaming and the cat litter's on the floor. So
Can't imagine doing a photo shoot with a cat anyway. It'd be tough.
Yes, it's comical. So those were just a couple PR, shout outs that I saw this week, and it's very Jenna Fisher focused, but I had a pretty good time looking at those, and again, that's just my favorite type of PR you can get, is when such influential people just hop on because either your organization is so good they can't really, there's no reason not to,
Yeah.
or because, obviously the Stanley Cup is a huge event, so they have a huge advantage when it comes to that. Of course, a lot of people talk about it, but anytime you get celebrities involved, your PR person's going to be pretty happy.
Yeah, because they can really take it viral so quickly and just blow the whole thing up. No matter how simple the conversation is, it just ends up being huge. Mm-hmm. But I like that they're having fun about it, and a little bit more of a lighter comedy, which is kind of nice once in a while on Twitter.
Yes, I agree. And The Office itself, too. I mean, you're getting PR for The Office, too.
Yeah.
Even though it's not necessarily happening now.
Show that will never die. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think The Office is something everybody can relate to when they watch it.
Yes, and if I meet someone that doesn't like The Office, I have a hard time warming up to them.
Something's kind of off there. Yeah.
Actually,
aren't you the one also are you the Friends fanatic? Was that you or was that Emily?
That was not me, but we have to play the show Friends for my dog Zetter when we leave. We leave the TV on for him. He hates the Office theme song. So maybe I shouldn't even trust him. But he'll start howling. He hates it. So we play Friends so that he has some noise and doesn't get anxious if he's home by himself.
I just remember Emily, who used to work with us in PR, could recite. It was Emily. They could recite any single quote out of any Friends show, and so you'd quiz her, and she never missed. I mean, she just never missed.
Yeah.
So
I think she did a trivia challenge too, so she probably was pretty good at that.
Oh my gosh, pretty funny. I never got into Friends. That's the one show I never got into.
Yeah, I try to. I mean, it's one of those shows that's also timeless, like The Office. You can tune in any episode, any season, and you'll still enjoy the show.
Yeah.
But I have never watched it all the way through like I have with The Office, so maybe I should put that on my to-do list.
I'm a Seinfeld girl.
We've been watching a lot of that, too.
I love Seinfeld. I love Kramer.
Have you seen the Coffee with Comedians in Cars special that he does?
Oh, my gosh. It's so funny.
Yeah. My boyfriend loves that show. He'll watch it for hours and hours.
I've been hooked lately on, I'm sure they're probably older, but watching the guy who does, I've just lost his name, that does car karaoke. Anyway, he's doing a tasting YouTube show now. Have you seen that, where he gets people and they play a game of Russian roulette, basically, and they ask each other questions that they know the other one won't answer, like who is the worst kisser in every movie you've been in? And if you won't answer the question, then the other one gets to pick what you eat. But it's the most disgusting things you can ever imagine, like cow's tongue or raw insects or just horrible stuff. But James Gordon. Oh my God, he is so funny, and he is so politically correct that he will never answer the question. So he's always eating the most disgusting stuff. So if you get a chance to watch it, it is hilarious. But he just did one with Chef Gordon Ramsay, and even Gordon Ramsay, there's things he wouldn't eat. He actually answered a couple questions he shouldn't have answered because he wouldn't eat it. So
are they inappropriate questions?
No, but they're things that could ruin your career. So things who's the worst actress you ever acted with, and of all the movies that you made, what's your least favorite movie?
Yeah.
And who was the worst producer you ever worked with? So they ask stuff that you won't answer, and you end up getting stuck eating this horrible, horrible stuff. So. Oh,
heck no, I would be answering that. I'm a picky eater, so I would definitely answer those questions.
The best one is, if you watch it, there's a really popular singer on there. Again, I did terrible. I'm just
Adele?
Yeah. No, there's a guy that he ends up retching. He has a weak stomach, and so the whole time he's gagging the entire show, and it's hysterical. So.
Oh my gosh, I'll have to look into that.
I'll have to look it up on YouTube and get you guys the actual name of that show, but it is so worth watching.
Gordon Ramsay's a fun one to see on any of those types of shows. I watched him on that Hot Ones, where they go through the different hot wing sauces.
That's bad.
He brought his own survival kit and was squirting lime juice directly into his mouth, and it was to ease it up. It was funny. he was they're kind of asking him questions throughout it too, and he has the funniest responses to everything. God, what was it? Something about like spaghetti O's or something like that, and
it is so worth watching it. And oh my gosh, I don't even know. He does it with like Tom Hanks, and he does it with Steven Tyler, and it's so worth watching. It's so silly that it's just fun, just good fun.
Oh, okay. So he does Spill Your Guts and car karaoke. The same guy, James Corden?
Yeah, Spill Your Guts, I think, is just on YouTube. I think it's just, I don't know if it's an actual show. It might be, but yeah, car karaoke. But yeah, because he's so politically correct, they'll ask him things like, so who does this better, Britain or America? Well, he's not going to answer that question, so he always gets stuck eating really horrible things.
Yeah.
So, pretty funny.
I don't even think I would try like a taco till I was like 10. Like, I was such a picky eater when I was a kid.
No, this stuff is really bad. It's like pig testicles, and
I would never eat that.
It's just raw, horrible food. They had like oh my gosh, all kinds of disgusting puddings made out of no way.
I would never do it.
But anyway, so if you get a chance, I get off the subject there, but this is a great show, so worth watching.
Well, I'll kind of follow on that. So I watched a YouTube video the other day that talks about certain actors and celebrities that refuse to work together on set. So that kind of feeds into, like, not wanting to say too much for your career. But I guess these guys said it, and there's literally, like, scenes that they have to use doubles because these actors and actresses will not work together. So if anybody has time to go look that up, we don't have time for it today, but you should definitely look it up on YouTube. They feature like Julia Roberts.
I saw one where Steven Spielberg was talking about he'd never work with Julia Roberts again.
Oh,
she
really?
was Tinkerbell in one of his movies about Peter Pan, and he said he was very clear that he would never work with her again. So I don't know what happened there, but he had no. Of course, you had that kind of money. You don't care who you offend.
Right. No kidding. So tell us a little bit about Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Yeah, I'm just a kind of a political junkie. Regardless, I'm an independent, so I like to look at both sides of everything. And I was surprised and not surprised to hear that she was resigning. I know she's had some credibility issues come up lately about some comments that she's made. And personally, I think just dealing with everything that she's had to deal with, I just have to feel that you would just mentally be exhausted at some point in time. So she probably just felt like after 3.5 years, she probably just needed a break. Not speaking good or ill of President Trump, he tends to not follow a script, and he tends to ad lib. And if he's angry or something pops into his head, he doesn't have a very good filter. And she's constantly having to kind of back him up, which is her job. She's been an amazing PR person. No matter what anybody makes jokes about out there, or anybody says, that she's, taken the slack on her job. I don't think any press secretary in the history of our government has had the challenges that Sarah Huckabee has had. So I personally have great respect for her as a press secretary. I think she's always stayed cool under pressure. I think she hasn't let the press push her around. I think that she's done the best she can do in a very volatile political environment. So there's been some pretty funny tweets out there, which in good humor I had to laugh at. But I got to give her kudos for, I don't think any of us as crisis PR people, and I am one, could imagine what she's been hanging on to for 3.5 years. So she hung in there for a long time.
Yeah, and it's always hard to know what goes on behind the scenes and those types of struggles people face as well in their job. I am not politically educated as much as I would like to be, so I can't speak on anything in that regard. But I am an avid user. And so these jokes are literally labeled tongue-in-cheek jokes about Sarah Huckabee Sanders. So, again, we aren't disagreeing or agreeing. These are just funny tweets that everybody can appreciate the humor in. So Stephen Colbert tweeted, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is leaving, or as she would say, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is not leaving. James Poniwazik, I probably butchered that, tweeted, I'm not going to believe that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is leaving as White House press secretary until she denies it herself. Oh, gosh.
Those are funny.
And then, let's see. I'll read one more. Oh, gosh. A verified Twitter account named Shauna. I don't know who you are. Sorry, Shauna. She tweeted, breaking. Sarah Sanders resigns. Goes back to lying for free. Dang. He did. One girl voiced her distaste for Sarah and then said that she hopes she walks a path strewn with Legos in her bare feet for the remainder of her days.
Yeah.
So that's pretty harsh, walking on Legos for the rest of your life. Yikes.
Yeah, now there's a lot of press getting into the game, too, saying she shot down a lot of their stories that ended up being true. But, you know, whether that's factual or not, at the end of the day, that's her job. She's being paid to defend the person that's frankly paying her, and she has a job to do for the political party that she's representing. And it would just be tough. And I have to kind of chuckle when people make fun of somebody for lying in politics and acts like it's the first time it's ever happened. I can't think of anyone who's in politics that doesn't lie on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that they're kind of diving on her credibility when nothing in politics is credible anymore. So
yeah, if anything, you should just make fun of them for getting caught.
Yeah, right.
That's the part you're
for
not
doing it
supposed
badly,
to.
for lying badly.
It is too bad it has to be that way, though. It's too bad. You know, I feel like politics is something that everybody should try to learn more about and be more invested in society.
Yeah.
I'm definitely guilty in the fact that I don't read into it as much as I should. But it does have I feel like a lot of people avoid it because they just assume it's a waste, like everything's corrupt, like why bother? But, you know, it's us that can change it. So we need to get involved.
Yeah, I buy in. I like to listen to it until I buy out of it. So, like, you know, back in the Clinton White House, I was really into the whole Monica Lewinsky story because it was just kind of, you know, crazy and wild, and he just, you know, he was lying badly and kept getting busted left and right all over the place, and so I stuck with it. But then after a while, when it just became about slaughtering him and attacking his family, I just kind of sign out at that point because the story's been told, the truth is out there, and then it just becomes a bloodbath, and I kind of sign out. I did the same thing with the whole Trump Russia story. I was really into it, trying to get the facts, trying to understand what was real, and then now it's just about bickering back and forth, and nobody's telling the truth anymore on either side, so I don't pay as much attention to it. But Clinton Monica Lewinsky is probably one of my favorite scandals of all time.
Yeah, that would be an awesome PR topic to talk about too. For one, I mean, not if it's positive or negative PR, but she is incorporated into so many songs now.
Yeah.
Rap songs and hip hop songs and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
but she's an example of somebody who just bounced back and ended up just pulling her life back together. And
she's a speaker now.
And yeah, she is
right?
on Life Circuit. Yeah, they actually had her for one of the nonprofits here in Cedar Rapids, used her for a speaker, and she did a great job. But, you know, think about her back then, about being, you know, an intern. So what was she, 19, 20 years old, and wrapped up in a scandal like that, and can't even imagine. I just can't even imagine. And she definitely came out the other end with her self-respect and holding her head up high, and all the jokes and all the bad PR out there about her doesn't really seem to have affected her. So made her into quite the resilient woman. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would feel like I would not be able to hold my head as strongly as she had. I think I would crumble a little bit. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think it got easier for her once her mother got involved, because her mother, you know, like most of us, you know, was, you know, Mama Bear jumped into the middle of that and just started swinging baseball bats. And I think a lot of things turned the corner for Monica when her mom got involved, which was great.
Well, and my thing is how come there's so many of these, like, celebrity scandals and affairs where the woman gets dragged?
Right.
Like, even Tristan Thompson and Jordan Woods, like the Kardashian thing.
Yes.
Like, why aren't you facing your reality that it's the person you're choosing to be with in a relationship that is the issue here?
Right.
Not other girls. And with that being said, Monica Lewinsky's probably just the only one that blew up.
Yeah.
There's no way she was the first person or the last person probably.
Oh, no. He actually had a sexual assault charges when he was governor in Arkansas. It has been an ongoing. There was Paula, whatever her last, Flowers, I think was her name. She was the first one who raised the flag about him doing sexual misconduct against her. There's been Clinton, I think, is probably a sexaholic personally. I think he's had more women, probably than John F. Kennedy. So it's pretty much out there, which is fine. But for me, I agree. It's like targeting the woman. It's like I think that Monica Lewinsky made one of the best statements from a woman I've ever heard. She said, his commitment is not my responsibility. And, at the end of the day, I agree with that statement. I mean, I'm not an advocate of sleeping with married men by any means, but, at the end of the day, this is an issue between, Clinton and his wife. And that should have been the story. And, Monica is a 20-year-old intern.
Yeah. She shouldn't have been the face of his affair either. Like, she was one of many. Many. Yeah. And maybe a little more.
So, but, I mean, he was quite the dog. So, But
Yeah.
people loved him, so it just goes to show the politics are interesting. It's like there's a lot of noise and a lot of bad PR, but at the end of the day, people stand by their candidate no matter what he does.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of been the history of the country.
Yeah, well, with standing by your party, that we're like really off topic, so I'm sorry. But I have a friend who lives in Europe, and he was saying how one of their opinions about like American politics is that we should have more than 2 political parties.
Yes, I agree with that.
So, like, here, if you vote for a third party, you're essentially wasting your vote. I mean, they're not going to win. But he was saying how they have, they have like 5 to choose from, and they're all different, and they all have an equal shot at winning. Is that right? 5? Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not into politics. But I always think about that, because even with the Trump and Hillary Clinton, election, I feel like nobody really liked either one of them. You were just voting for.
Oh, I agree.
You were just voting for the person that you hated less.
Lesser evil.
And that's not how it should be. Like, you should have more options. So.
Yeah, I was one of those people. I sat there and stared at the ballot and thought, oh my God, what am I going to do here?
Yeah.
I mean, because I knew I didn't want her, and I knew I didn't want the Clintons back in the White House. And then I worked for the Trump organization in the past, and I know that he is a phenomenal businessman, but I knew there was going to be a lot of hot water just because of the no filter situation that he has going on, where he says what he thinks, and he definitely doesn't maybe have the polish, but it was a tough election.
Like, yeah, there was not a single person that I talked to was like for a candidate. They were just against one less.
Yeah.
And it's like sad that it has to be that way.
And you wonder how many people, I don't think I ever heard how many people just stayed home because they just couldn't make up their mind what to do. So
right, yeah.
I'm sure that was quite a number.
Yeah. Well, back to Sarah. I wonder what it says. She's going to return to,
Arkansas?
Arkansas?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you know what she plans to do next?
I don't think so. I think, there's been a little chatter about will she ever run for governor for Arkansas, maybe. I think, she's got pretty young kids, so I could see her probably doing nothing for a few years, but I hope she does reemerge because, for me, if you can survive, a White House press secretary role, you're destined for great things. So regardless if people like you, don't like you, if you can hang it out for 3.5 years and gain respect, she's has the opportunity to do some pretty great things, I think.
Yeah, I don't think any other job that she takes on will be as stressful as the job she just left.
I don't think so either. My guess is she probably wanted to get out before the 2020 campaign started again,
Yeah.
So
there were some tweets out there kind of alleging various reasons, but again, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not fair to say if I don't know, but
well, I think she has some credibility damage. I think she made some flip comments, that she ended up not really knowing who she was talking to, and they bounced back at her. But I just think when you're in that high pressure, fast paced environment, sometimes slip of the tongue or saying something just off the cuff, you're not expecting it to be taken literally, and it is, and it comes back to bite you. So I think she probably just thought, I'm enough, and good for her for just holding her head up and walking away.
Well, and she's essentially walking on a balance beam between being completely transparent, which is what the public wants, and then spinning it just right, which is what her employer wants.
Yeah.
So that would be a really hard place to be in.
It is a tough job because you really do represent someone, but you need to have complete trust from the media, and so I think it would be a hard balance there when I think today personally that media swings very far left, and so I think that there's not a balance in today's media. I do believe there's a lot of fake news out there, so I think she had a hard time probably of supporting the man that she was required to support, and also earning the credibility of a media that swings far left when she has a right-wing president. So I can't even imagine. I mean, that's a PR challenge right in itself.
Yeah, and she had to deal with his freedom of Twitter use.
Yes.
I mean,
you think somebody would just throw his phone away?
Yeah, and I don't have really an opinion I would want to voice about this situation at all. Like I said, I just don't feel like I'm involved in politics enough to have one.
Yeah.
But I know like no other past presidents have, been all over their Twitter account just mouthing off with no sort of like feedback, like, oh, Mr. President, maybe you shouldn't say that, or the last 10 things you tweeted either.
Yeah.
So she kind of had to, she didn't really have a chance to be like proactive a lot of the time because she was like kind of going back behind all of his like tweeting messes and all that and cleaning it up.
You'd wake up every morning and get blasted with what he tweeted at midnight the night before, and 3 years of that would, wow, I can't even imagine. So that's, I do think that, Obama started doing some tweeting as well and using social media. And for me personally, I just think that the White House should stay off of those kind of forums.
Yeah, it should be general announcements, things like that, because not only to protect the jobs of people who have to deal with it, but just to make us as a country look better. I feel like he does have a way to make it look childish.
Well, social media is so reactionary. You know, I've done that. I put something on my Facebook page, and then an hour later going, I got to take that down. I'm reacting to something, and Twitter is the worst for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he'll, like, just type novels on Twitter. Like, it'll be, like, 6 tweets long, and I'm like, you only have 140 characters. Like, stop. But, yeah, no, it's unfortunate that it has become somewhat of a social media circus, it feels like.
But no matter what party they stand for, I'll always stand by the press secretaries because it's a horrible job. I have huge respect for PR people who go into that field. And Sarah Huckabee has my respect, just regardless of my politics, just because she did it. She came out alive on the other end, and she knew when it was time to walk away. So good for her, and I wish her the best. It'd
be interesting to see like a documentary come out or something about her time as a PR, as a press secretary. Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure the legality behind that, or
I fell in love with the whole press secretary when I watched The West Wing, because it's kind of about a series about the true story kind of working in a White House.
Yeah.
And the press secretary's role on that is a big part of that show. So you can really get to see the beating they take. It's a fascinating series. Well, it won the #1 series of all time, TV series of all time.
I'll have to check that one out. My favorite political show is Scandal, but don't watch it if you're wanting your faith to be restored in politics, because it won't help.
No.
Ever since I've seen Scandal, I'm like, oh, so politics are pretty corrupt then.
Yeah, West Wing just won. Yeah, I think last year, the year before, they won the award for best TV series of all time.
Okay.
And it's so worth watching, especially in our field. It's really worth watching because you really get to see what a press secretary goes through and how PR, everything on that show is PR, handling PR for the government.
Wow.
So good.
I'll check it out. But yeah, so that's pretty much what we have today. So just be sure that you rate, review, and subscribe on whatever platform that you're listening on, and then stay tuned for our future episodes.
Yep. If anybody has a PR problem that they want to have us address on the air, just shoot Cassie an email at cassie@plaidswan.com, Cassie with a K, and we'll tackle your problem on the next podcast.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a great night.